Hello, my friends. Hello. Hello from the United States. I'm Ron Aledo, and I welcome everybody, every one of you to this show. Uh, my good friend Ariel had been very kind, and he invited me to talk to you today about some of the most important subjects here in the United States, but also in the world. I mean, geopolitics. Important subjects, political subjects that are very important right now, not only to the people here in the United States, but also to the people in the world. So thank you very much, Ariel, for your invitation. Hopefully, I will be with you guys every Saturday, or at least most Saturdays. I'm going to be here uh, talking to you. So today, I'm going to talk about some of the most important subjects that are in the press, in the U.S. press. We're going to talk about the Epstein case, the famous Epstein files. We're going to talk about the ultimatum that Trump gave to Russia. Initially, 50 days ultimatum. Russia must surrender in 50 days, but now it's a 10 days ultimatum. And I think the ultimatum is gonna expire in a few days. I think the 8th of August. Russia must surrender, or more sanctions are coming. Maybe long missile strikes uh, are gonna hit Moscow and St. Petersburg. So let's see. And also, we need to keep talking about what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Gaza, what is happening right now after Israel attacked the only Catholic church in Gaza, with about several people dead and several people injured, including the pastor of the church of the Holy Family in Gaza, the Catholic Church in Gaza, who was injured into that. So let's go and talk about these subjects. Hopefully, I have a good friend of mine that will join me soon. But let's begin. Epstein files. I am almost sure, almost 99% sure, Trump is not in the Epstein files. I am 99% sure Trump is not in the Epstein files. He's not a so-called client. He's not in the client list. And how do I know this? I know this, or I assume this is right, because from January 2021 until January 2025, Joe Biden was the president of the United States, and Merrick Garland, was the Attorney General, the Secretary of Justice, or Minister of Justice, as you want to call him. He was in charge of the Department of Justice of the United States. And Kamala Harris was the Vice President of the United States. So, by common sense, I know that if Trump was named in the Epstein report, they will have immediately, in 2021, immediately published the list of Epstein clients. And they will have immediately published Trump's name in that list. It's just common sense. Remember, Joe Biden and Garland, they were in charge, and Kamala Harris, obviously, they were in charge of the Department of Justice for 4 long years, 2021 to 2025. And they did not release the Epstein file. They did not release the so-called client list. If they would have Trump's name in those files, I'm sure I mean, I'm completely sure they would have immediately released the file. So, hey, Donald Trump was a client. Donald Trump is on the list. Donald Trump is here. You see how evil is that white supremacist of Donald Trump? But they didn't. Furthermore, Kamala Harris lost an election, presidential election, to Donald Trump in November 2024. Don't you think that if Trump's name was there on the list, that Kamala Harris will immediately publish those names, let's say in early October uh, or mid-October of 2024, in order to win the elections? Jeffrey,
Hi, how are you?
hello,
I'm a little bit
hello,
late.
welcome, my good friend Jeffrey Kihin. He's a businessman, an analyst, originally from Peru, but now residing in the United States in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Jeffrey. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm good. A little bit hot here in Washington D.C., but all very good.
I,
Summer, you know.
I can imagine. I was in New York a few days ago. It was like 95. It was
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, New York is a little bit hotter
it's
than
hotter
Washington
than
D.C.
yeah.
But
So I was in New York City. It was, I mean, going to the subway in New York City in July. If you don't have to do it, don't do it because
oh yes, yes,
it's a sauna. I mean, it was a sauna,
yeah.
literally. It was like 110 degrees
You
in any
lost a
subway
couple of
station.
pounds riding the metro in New York during summer. That's true.
Yes. So, Jeffrey, welcome to the show. I was telling our public that my good friend Ariel, he invited me to talk uh, to the people from the perspective of the United States, from the viewpoint of the United States, or about the news that are hot in the United States. And obviously, I'm very lucky that you are here with me to do some commentary about the hot news, the issues that are affecting not only the United States, but also the whole world. And I was telling the audience why I believe that Donald Trump's name is not in the Epstein files. And it's very simple. From 2021 to 2023, Joe Biden was the president, Kamala Harris was the vice president, and Garland was in charge of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General of the United States. Don't you think that if they have the Epstein files with Donald Trump's name on it, they will have immediately released those to the public so everybody can see how evil Donald Trump was? Furthermore, Kamala Harris lost an election to Donald Trump in November of 2024. Don't you think that if Kamala Harris and Biden and Garland have Donald Trump's name in the Epstein files, that they will have immediately released those in October for a big October surprise so she can win the presidency of the United States? And they didn't. They didn't do that. So that tells me strong, very strong evidence that the reason why the reason why Donald Trump's name is not on the files. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, what you say is makes sense. Just remember that Donald Trump was persecuted and prosecuted for 4 years through a series of fake accusations. In addition to that, he survived two, not only one, two, maybe three murder attempts. So if Kamala Harris, Biden, and their team wants to utilize, and if they have that material against Donald Trump, they would have just put it on the table. And before that, during Donald Trump presidency, the first one, just remember the Russiagate hoax that it never existed. So what you say have a lot of basis and a lot of basis.
I mean, and people believe that the Epstein file or the Epstein documents is something new that just pop up out of nowhere now in mid 2025. It's not like that. Again, This goes for almost 10 years or more. And for 4 years, full years, Garland was in charge of the Department of Justice under Kamala Harris, under Joe Biden, people who hate Donald Trump. And if those files, Epstein files, have damaging information about Donald Trump, it's common sense. They will have immediately released them. And if not immediately, at the very least in October, they will release the file. So Kamala Harris can win the elections in November, the November 2024 election. And they didn't.
Wrong. In addition to that, the FBI raided Epstein house in New York, and they collected boxes and boxes. I saw the picture, boxes and boxes of CDs, pictures, videos, and hard drives. Where is that material right now? According to the FBI, it has disappeared. It's something very strange have happened. The FBI raided the house of Epstein for 2 days in Manhattan, New York. So where is that material? It wasn't presented at the court. It just disappeared.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Where are they? Now, the question is, why is Trump not releasing the files? Garland did not do it. Biden did not do it. Kamala Harris did not do it. Why? First of all, let me give you my take on the whole Epstein case. And I mean, it's a speculation here, okay? I don't have any classified information or any insiders information. It's just what I see on the open press, on the media, what I have seen and read in the media about this. First of all, I don't believe that this Epstein thing is as big as some of the people or the media presents. I don't believe, and let me explain myself, I don't believe Epstein had a business model of doing what everybody's saying that he did. And I don't want to mention the word here because I don't want this YouTube video to be censored. But you all know what the accusation is, okay? And it begins with the letter P, okay? So I don't believe it was an intentional, explicit business model of doing this. I think that Epstein have enough money, enough millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that he didn't do to include or expand his business into doing that, okay? Into the network of the P, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. What I believe is that he was a multimillionaire playboy in Palm Beach, and he used to do a lot of jet set parties with the elite, with the multimillionaire, with the stars, with Hollywood stars, with the big money people of Wall Street and Hollywood, etc. And in these wild parties that he organized, there was a lot of caviar and champagne and cocaine and then escorts, because that's what the single multimillionaire playboys do in their wild parties. They hire escorts, dozens of escorts over there. And you know what an escort means. We call it other way in Planet America. But and then I believe that, again, this is my take. I might be wrong, but this is my take. Among those dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of escorts that came to the island for party with the multimillionaire, with the playboys, there were some escorts that perhaps look 20 or look 18 or look whatever, but they were not. They were 17, they were 16, 17. You know, how they came there, I don't know. I have no information. Maybe they were forced over there. That's what the press is saying. Maybe they were not forced over there. Maybe they want $10,000 per night paycheck or whatever. So I don't know. But that's my take on it. I think that it was basically extravagant, multimillionaire, playboy parties with cocaine, with caviar, with champagne, with super expensive wine, with a lot of escorts, and among those hundreds and hundreds of escorts that may go over there in a year, 10, 15, 20, 25 of those hundreds of escorts were like 20 years old, looking girls that were in reality 17. That is my take. Now, why are these files not released by Garland for 4 years? And why are these files not being released today under Trump, under Pam Bondi? I don't know, but there is a theory out there. And I want you to tell me what your opinion is about this, Jeffrey. The theory is that the Epstein files contain very sensitive information about Epstein connections with a foreign government and with a foreign government intelligence agency, specifically Israel and the Mossad. And because of that, if you publish those files, this might open the Pandora box about how this foreign government and this foreign intelligence agency, via a local lobby here in the United States, AIPAC, everybody knows that, controls, influence a lot of senators, a lot of congressmen, a lot of politicians, a lot of businessmen. And that might be, again, I'm not sure it is, but this is a theory out there. Okay, and the people over there is floating. I mean, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, many other journalists are floating this idea. They don't want to open the Pandora box about the Israeli connection of Jeffrey Epstein. And that might be one of the reasons why they are not releasing these files. Jeffrey, what do you think about?
So, strictly speaking from the legal point of view, any case related to sex trafficking, I think we can do it. We can say no, sex trafficking, have to be sealed forever to protect the victims and the names that are brought to the case, including that when there is the oral arguments, it is sealed. So there are only the victims and their attorneys. That is the reason that speaking from the legal point of view, that is the reason the files cannot be released under any circumstances. If the judge agrees on releasing these files, I will believe that America is done, because we have one of the best judicial systems in the world, and more or less the law, we comply with the law, no, and the judges and the prosecutors comply with the basic of the law. So the files, because it's this related to minors and to trafficking of minors, are sealed and cannot be released. That is it from the legal point of view. If there is something related and associated with a foreign government, yeah, it might, well, maybe not. But I remember I listened to Donald Trump. He did a similar explanation, not very legal, but he told the media that the files cannot be released because there are names on them mentioned. The witness mentioned some names, and we don't know if that information is true. So the honor of these people that have been mentioned in the files can be compromised, and it shouldn't be fair. What Donald Trump explained is also true. It's valid and it's true.
Well, Jeffrey, I agree with you. Obviously, you are the lawyer. You know the law, and you understand that the rules on the seal of these cases are, and obviously that's true. Now, I do believe that the President of the United States, in conjunction with the Attorney General, they might be able to do an exception of policy if they want, if they really want. And obviously they have to dark I mean, that they have to scratch some names or maybe some sensitive personal information or maybe some victim name or some whatever that they have to redact the document as they want. But I believe that even with the redactions on it, if the president really wants to do it with the attorney general, with Pam Bondi, they can do an executive order, they can do an exception of policy, and they can release it to the press. They can release it with the redactions. But I believe they can do that. They have the constitutional power under Article 2 of the Constitution of doing that. But the reason why they don't want to do that, why they don't want to do that executive order, that publication, that is what the speculation and the theory in the internet among very conservative people in the press are. And again, I do not have the information. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But the speculation is because if you publish not the client's name, but the guest at his island, and if you publish the names of the people who was with him, who Epstein called, who Epstein was texting with, emailing with, doing business with, that will expose potentially a foreign government, in this case, Israel. So that is the theory floating over there. That will open a Pandora box about the influence and the control that this foreign country has in many influential, very influential business people in America, very influential politicians in America, congressmen in America. What do you think, Jeffrey?
So the media, ang MAGA myself, we're asking for the list, no, the list of all the people that visited the island and all the names of people that were visiting the Epstein house mansion, the biggest house in Manhattan, New York. We were asking about the list. However, that list is public. Why do I say that it's public? I mean, but you need money to access. Because in the United States, you can legally purchase the location of the data with the location of your particular phone number. So my phone number, for instance, can be traced all over the world, not in Europe. In Europe, the laws are a little bit low. You cannot purchase that information in Europe. But in the United States, for instance, if I have your phone number, I could purchase that information with your exactly location minute by minute. So we have that information tracing all the cell phones that belongs to, with the name, that travel from different points of the United States to the island. So that is the list we're looking for. It's public. So the second question is, those people that visited the Epstein Island, like this attorney, Epstein attorney, this Jewish guy, I don't remember his name. He visited the island, but he was accused by
Alan Dershowitz.
Dershowitz. Yes. So we don't know if these people that were in the island commit some kind of crime, but the list is public. But you need to pay for it. The FBI have a list. CBS, for instance, or CNN. I think they have the resources to.
Yeah, listen, visiting the island or visiting the mansion and the Palm Beach mansion is not illegal, okay? Because
no, not at all.
You need to understand that hundreds of people every year visit the island, and they were not for the wild parties on the weekends at night. There were some business people that went over there to sign contracts. There were some lawyers meetings going on. There were some business lunches going on. There were legitimate reasons. I mean,
it was a nice place. The island is a nice place.
Yes. So they were conducting business. They were lawyers meeting. They were signing legal papers. They were signing contracts, etc. It's just the sensitive one is the people who went for the wild, exotic parties at night, on Friday night and Saturday night. with the cocaine and with the escorts and those parties, and those are the sensitive ones. But again, we don't know. We are just speculating. This is the theory. What I can tell you again, almost with a 99% certainty, is that Donald Trump's name is not in those files, because if Donald Trump's name, if Donald Trump appears in those files, his name is there, I'm sure that Garland will have released the files, executive order, one of the Biden,
or leaked information. No, he would have just leaked the information to CNN,
at the very
CNN,
least.
forever.
Or at the very, very least, Kamala Harris in October of 2024, just a few weeks before the elections, she will have leaked the information in order to win the elections that she lost.
That's true.
Turn the media against Donald Trump. That is almost 99.9% sure.
And Trump already said in many opportunities that he used to be friend of with Epstein, but he never visited the island. And when he found out that this guy was a little bit pervert, he just told him,
they were neighbors.
"Don't visit my house any longer, pervert."
Neighbors. Mar-a-Lago is over there. They were neighbors for years. Jeffrey, the only Catholic church in Gaza was recently attacked by Israel. 3 people died, I understand. The pastor, the Catholic priest in charge of the Gaza church was injured. The Catholic Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem went over there immediately after. What's going on? They are killing people over there like it's candy for children every day. They are killing dozens and dozens of people every day. People trying to get food is getting killed in the lines of food distribution. 40 today, 50 the other day, 60 the other day. It's hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds are dying every week, shot by bombs, children. And now the only Catholic church in Gaza is also bombed and targeted by the Israeli forces. My opinion is the opinion that I always said. Reading the historical books, reading the historical strategic aims and the strategic objectives of the Likud party and the ultra-Orthodox in Israel is that they want to wipe out Gaza. They want to do ethnic cleansing. They want to move 2 million people away. They want to annex Gaza officially. And then they are going to do the same thing with the West Bank. They want to do the same thing with the West Bank, because one of the objectives of this strong Zionist idea, the Zionism goals, is to create something called the Greater Israel. They want to create this super big nation where there are no Palestinians, where there is no Palestinian Gaza, where there is no Palestinian East Jerusalem, where there is no Palestinian West Bank. They want to conquer the whole territory. And actually, Greater Israel have pieces, and small sections too, of Syria and southern Lebanon, etc. They want to create this big nation because that is their objective for the last 100 years. That's their aim, that's their objective, to go over there slowly, but going over there nevertheless. And they want to do this. It's in the writings of the founders of the State of Israel. It's in the writers of the main theorists of Zionism, of the main political philosophers of Zionism. They want to create this greater Israel because they believe in their mind the whole thing belongs to them. And obviously the ultra-Orthodox that are in connection, are in alliance right now, in government, in a coalition with the Likud, they also want to do it. They also want to do it because of religious reasons. God gave this to us, 3,000 years ago, whenever, to Moses. So it's ours now. Jesus, he was a, I don't know, he was a crazy dude, this Jesus guy. He was a blasphemer. He was a scammer. This Jesus guy is nobody. He's not the Messiah. We're still waiting for the Messiah. We have been waiting for 3,000 years for the Messiah. Someday will come, and then we will be able to conquer the world when he comes. But this Jesus guy, he's just a blasphemer and a scammer, and nothing. Still, the Moses covenant is still valid. The Sinai covenant is still valid. All this land belongs to us. That is the idea of the ultra-Orthodox. And they are in conjunction with the Zionists of the Likud. So they want to create this big, greater Israel. And they want to wipe out the whole 5 million Palestinians that have been living there for hundreds of years. That is my take on it. That is what I have seen. I mean, I am not alone. If you see the recent interview of Tucker Carlson with Professor John Mesmacher, you can see this. You can see that this is the scholars knows what the aim, what the strategy, and what the key points of the ultra-Zionists, let's call it that way, and the ultra-Orthodox have been for the last 100 years. I mean,
but Ron, just to add what you said, before or 40, 50 years ago, maybe 60 years ago, 30% of Palestine was Christian, was Catholic. So it was a Catholic, it was a Christian state, because the Roman Empire and then the Byzantine Empire became Catholic. It was a Catholic territory. When Israel declared that they owned that territory, the Christians were harassed, and they left. That is why we have in Hispanic America, we have quite big colonies of Palestinians in Chile, as well in Colombia, as well in Mexico, as well in Venezuela. The second stage of this plan, as you say, was the eradication of all the Muslim population, with the difference that the Muslim defends themselves. The Christian, we didn't. We just left. That is the difference. The whole planet, the whole world, talk about that there is a genocide against the Christian, against the Muslims, but the genocide against the Christian, the Catholics, already happened. So why is that when Christians, when Catholics are killed, that's happening right now in Sudan, in Nigeria, nobody talk about it. But when Muslims are killed, it's a big trouble around the world. But the big Israel is part of the plan. It's part of the plan, and that is the reason as well that the Israel constantly is destabilizing countries that are that surround Israel, like Iraq. Iraq was completely destroyed. Now Iran, good luck with that one, because Iran is a different situation. Libya was completely destroyed, as well as Syria. So what the consequences of this big Israel big plan of the big Israel war against Iran, but Israel cannot fight a war against Iran by itself. They need the help of the United States. So now we have a very interesting situation.
Well, I believe, I mean, and I'm talking now as military person, from a military viewpoint. Yes, I believe that Israel caused in this recent 12-day war between Israel and Iran, I believe that Israel caused a lot more damage to Iran than Iran caused to Israel, at least for the open sources. I don't know if that's real, at least for what I saw in the open sources, what is reported. Maybe Iran did a lot more damage and Israel censor those news.
There is censorship in Israel, and there is censorship. It's not it's not a free democracy, as they say. No, it's free democracy. We can just record a video, put it in the internet. No.
Yeah, I heard that Iran at least destroyed or attacked very heavily the Mossad headquarters and military bases. But at least let's say that what the media is reporting is accurate. Let's depart from that premise. I think that Israel did a lot of damage because they killed a lot of generals, they killed scientists, they bombed the facilities, etc. But, and this is a very important but, I believe Iran won the war. And let me explain myself. It's not about the damage that one do to the other. It's about survival. And Iran survived. I believe what Israel wanted to do, and he pushed Trump to help them, they wanted to do regime change. I mean, and that was the open statement of Netanyahu, Bibi, say it. It's time for regime change. It's time to change the government. It's time to bring the son of the Shah and be the next puppet leader in Iran. But they failed. They failed. I mean, they created a lot of damage. They killed a lot of generals, a lot of scientists, a lot of military damage, yes. But just by surviving, and again, I'm talking as a military person now, just by surviving the war, by the government surviving the war, I think that's a great strategic level victory. Because now they know what Israel is capable. They know Israel modus operandi. They know their methods. And now they are going to reinforce all the defenses. They are going to move away to the desert and on the bunkers, the plains, and they are not going to let any truck come. Remember, these trucks came with drones, and there were dozens of Mossad-controlled people in Iran. Most likely they infiltrate via Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is a very close ally of Israel. And now Iran is going to take measures to counter this. And now they're going to increase the defenses. I'm sure that China will help when possible. I'm sure that even Pakistan was outraged, and they might help too. Russia might help too. So I think 5 years from now, Iran is going to be in a lot stronger position than they are. But again, that's my.
I just want to add something very important, that Israel has lost the information war around the world, because most of the planet right now is anti-Israel. There are manifestations.
Most of the planet, but the United States.
Well, the lobbies here, yes, you're right, the lobbies, but the common people say, well, what is going on with Israel? The greatest army in the world cannot defeat a bunch of terrorists of Hamas inside a small territory.
Listen, Jeffrey, we only have to see this amazing interview. Senator Ted Cruz against Tucker Carlson. And this is amazing. I mean, if you see how important this is, Ted Cruz openly said, I'm going to the United States Senate to become the stronger defender of the United States and Israel. He did not say, I'm going to become the stronger defender of the United States. And nobody else says, oh, I'm going to be the stronger defender of the United States and Belgium, and the United States and Netherlands, of the United States and Japan, or the United States and Italy. Nobody say that, not even the Italian Americans. 12 million of them here in the United States. A lot of people in politics with Italian heritage. Nobody says,
or Germans,
going to the Senate to defend the United States and Italy. But many people, many politicians, many senators, many congressmen like Ted Cruz, they openly say, I'm going to the United States Congress to become the strongest defender of the United States and Israel. Only Israel.
That is very strange, and we know the reason. That is very strange, and we know the reason. But another another very interesting situation that Netanyahu, Mr. Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, and Zelensky, both, you know, the religion, they came to the United States. The first one, the short guy, Zelensky, insulted the president of the United States in public. But they both came and asked for money. And the government of the United States gave the money to those two individuals that belongs to a religion that only represents maybe less than 1% of the global population. Don't you think that is strange?
Yes, but you need to understand that the United States is a different animal. It's a different thing from the world. Yes, it's only 2% of Jewish people in the United States, but the issue here is not about the percentage of Jewish people. The issue here is the people like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz and all the dozens and dozens and dozens of politicians like Ted Cruz, hundreds perhaps of politicians like Ted Cruz in the Congress, in the Senate and the House, they are the problem.
But don't you think beside that problem there is money?
There is money. Of course, there are AIPAC paying them, AIPAC giving them donations, AIPAC destroying their opponents. I mean, everybody who doesn't want to align, they control about 80% of the Congress, but it's also their ideology, it's also their belief. Ted Cruz, that interview with Tucker Carlson is a very open, very clear example of the heresy of dispensationalism. I'm sorry, dispensationalism is the heresy that there is salvation for the Christian this way, but there is also equal salvation for the Jews this way. Is what the beatitude, the Catholic Patriarch of Jerusalem denounced in 2006 when he signed this declaration against Christian Zionism, whatever that, and you need to understand something. Christian Zionism is a contradiction in terms. It's like a square circle. I mean, it's a contradiction in terms. Can you imagine that, a square circle for a second? You cannot. It's a contradiction in terms. It's opposites.
It cannot exist at the same time.
It cannot exist at the same time. It's either a square or a circle. It cannot be a square circle at the same time. So the same thing, you cannot be a Christian Zionist. And this, sadly, this heresy, this idea is impregnated into the minds of not only Ted Cruz and dozens and hundreds of politicians like Ted Cruz, is in the mind of the current ambassador of the United States to Israel, Huckabee, who is a Christian Zionist, a Pentecostal. It's also impregnated in the minds of dozens of millions of Americans in the South, in the Bible Belt of the United States, all these Pentecostal church, evangelical church, Baptist church, Baptist of the South church, all these new echelons of Protestantism in the United States, they firmly believe that the covenant of Moses is still valid today. They firmly believe that the Sinai covenant is still valid today, against all the traditional Christian faith, against the Catholic doctrine, against the Russian Orthodox Church, against the Greek Orthodox Church, against all traditionalist Anglicans. They still believe that, and that is what moved the politics in the United States. That and AIPAC, they create 200, 300, Ted Cruz, and that's it. The whole Congress is in their power. And the media is in their power. The ambassador of the United States to Israel is in their power. And obviously, Trump feels that pressure because those are the base of his vote. They are the base of the MAGA supporters, that Bible Belt in the South. So that is why the United States is so different to the rest of the world, because of the heresy of Christian Zionism and the control that AIPAC has, almost absolute control over the United States Congress. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, the only journalists that are criticizing what is happening in the United States with the Zionist lobby are independent journalists like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson. There is another podcast. Oh, but there are several podcasters, but not
Josh Andrew Napolitano
as well. Firstly, but all the big change, the news change, CBS, NBC, Fox,
all the networks, yes,
they cannot talk anything, nothing, zero against the lobby.
forbidden.
Well, not even at the schools, in the universities. You cannot, well, in a class, if you're in a class and you bring up that subject, the professor told you, no, you cannot talk about it. Can you imagine what happened? Well, it happened in Johns Hopkins, where
Yeah,
I did
no.
my
Do you remember a few years ago when, 2021, 4 years ago?
Just one second,
Yeah.
before I forget. Why Candace Owens was fired from the Daily
Wire?
because
Ben Shapiro is the president of the Daily Wire.
Because she criticizes what is happening in Gaza. So where is the free what is the free speech that Ben Shapiro?
You have Ben Shapiro, who is an agent. He's an agent of the Likud party, 100% Zionist, and
yes,
and an Orthodox Jew, and he's completely linked and direct with Netanyahu. And then you have this amazing woman,
Jesus denier.
Yes, of course. But this amazing woman who is very strong, very smart woman. And it's amazing when you think for a second about Candace Owens. She went from being the typical liberal African American black person in a campus to a conservative, to a paleo-conservative, to a Catholic. She got baptized, and then she had this paleo-conservative viewpoint, and she's very courageous and amazing. And something very important, people need to understand this about Candace Owens. She helped a lot. To open the eyes of Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan, the British journalist, he might be a complete neocon and a complete ignorant in many subjects. He doesn't know anything about Russia. He doesn't know anything about Ukraine. He's still a neocon like Lindsey Graham or Senator Cotton or Senator Kennedy. He's the same mentality about Russia and Ukraine. But when this thing started, he was a complete Zionist neocon, globalist, also about Israel and Palestine. And thanks to Candace Owens, Piers Morgan changed. Piers Morgan saw the evidence, something that is amazing because these people usually, they are so fanatic, they don't think. He saw the evidence of the genocide, of the thousands and thousands and thousands of children being starving to death, ripped apart by bombs in Gaza, that Piers Morgan, to his great credit, and thanks to Candace Owens, among others, he changed his viewpoint about Gaza and about Israel. And now if you see Piers Morgan, his Twitter account or his YouTube channel, he accepted, hey, I was wrong for the last 2 years and a half. But what we are seeing in Gaza has no excuse. And obviously he and I and you and everybody, we condemn the events of October 2023 and the innocents and the killing of unarmed civilians and terrorism, of course. But this is the deal. Evil terrorism against 1,700 people or whatever, evil criminal terrorism doesn't give you the permission to do evil terrorism against 50, 60,000 people. You cannot pay an evil attack with an even more evil attack. There is no moral comparison or moral equality. You cannot respond with evil, the evil that you have received. That is not moral. That's not Christian. That's not charity. That goes against the law international law, against humanitarian law. And Piers Morgan took his credit, and thanks to Candace Owens, he finally saw this.
Mm-hmm. Well, Candace Owens used to be a Protestant. I don't know. I think he was a Baptist or something, and she converted to the Catholic Church.
Well, she said that in her early days she was the typical Democratic Party aligned, liberal aligned, black female in college, but she slowly began to see first with the race baiting of the Democrats against you are black, so therefore you have to vote Democrat because you are black, period. It's logical. And she, why do I have to vote Democrat? I mean, I have my own mind. I have my own, I can take my own decision, not because I'm black. That means that I have to vote Democrat. And then slowly she began to change her viewpoints and her worldview. And slowly she began to modify into a conservative, then a paleo-conservative. And now suddenly, then she got baptized. She married this Catholic British guy who is, I understand he's connected to the House of Lords some way, somehow. We have family in the House of Lords in England. And she had done an amazing journey. The thing is,
and now this is very funny. Now he's gonna be litigating against Macron.
Macron sued her.
In Delaware.
He said that
Delaware is where the Biden came from.
Okay, that's very interesting. Let's see where that lawsuit gains, because Brigitte Macron sued Candace Owens for defamation, because Candace Owens make a special in her show saying that, hey, Brigitte is a dude. Brigitte is a man. So let's see where this takes us. Let's see where it takes us. Before we leave for today,
no, but let me add something. If somebody in the media, Ron Aledo, make a documentary about Jeffrey, that Jeffrey is not a man, Jeffrey's a woman, and I sue you, the only thing I need to show at the court is a DNA test or something easier, a picture of myself. That's it. So in the discovery, I'm imagining in the discovery in that trial, Candace Owens is going to ask for that.
A genetic test, yeah, that's it.
DNA test, and that's it.
Test your genetics. That's it.
Exactly.
Are you an XY or XX or what are you?
Unless because it's Delaware, unless it's something strange there.
Let's see what happened with this. It's very interesting. But Jeffrey, before we leave, and we're running kind of out of time here, a lot of MAGA people, they are disappointed on Trump, not only because of the attacks on Iran and how he is following Netanyahu, as Netanyahu is his boss, whatever, but they are also disappointed on Trump on what he's doing with Russia and Ukraine. Because just as the great Colonel Dr. Douglas McGregor said, the Trump that we see today is not the Trump that MAGA voted for. I mean, we voted for him to end the war in Ukraine, to finish this, to end it, not to turn against Russia and demand Russia to surrender, because that's exactly what he's asking for. He's asking Russia to surrender, stop the war, let's negotiate, and let's go and do a ceasefire and end the war right now.
And Russia is winning the war. No, Russia is winning the war.
Russia is winning the war. So Prokhorov is about to fall. Give Prokhorov a month more. And Chasivyar is about to fall in a couple of days. So those are two big hits that Russia is about to accomplish very soon in Ukraine, in the battlefield. But this is the deal. I believe that Trump, normally, he keeps the position of the last person who talks to him. I know. I mean, if J.D. Vance or Tucker or Tulsi Gabbard, another amazing, beautiful, incredible woman, Tulsi Gabbard, talk to him, and they told him, hey, this Zelensky is a puppet, this Zelensky is a clown, this Zelensky is a comedian, He's the puppet of the ultranationalists, of the neo-Nazis of the West, of West Ukraine, of the Bandera guys. Don't believe him. He's a liar. He's a comedian. You don't want to play with nuclear fire, with nuclear war. We need to cut. Then Trump, okay, yes, you're right. Zelensky is a clown. Zelensky is a comedian. I don't want to risk nuclear war with Russia. I need to cut the assistance to Ukraine. Good. But if 5 minutes later, he has Sebastian Gorka talking to him, a complete Russophobic neocon, or even worse, Senator Lindsey Graham or Senator Cotton or Senator Kennedy talking to him, oh, we need to support Zelensky because Zelensky is a freedom fighter fighting for the freedom of the world or fighting for democracy around the world. Oh, yeah, okay. We need to support Zelensky because he's a freedom fighter and he's fighting for the freedom of the world. And then Tulsi tells him, no, you don't need, okay, we don't need to support Zelensky. Then Graham comes, okay, we need to support Zelensky. Whoever talks to Trump, the last person to talk to Trump, that is what Trump is going to say. That is my fear. That's what I have seen. Trump have a very good position in Russia and Ukraine. He kicked Zelensky out of the White House. That was amazing. That was great.
I think...
then he plays golf with Lindsey Graham. He goes to Mar-a-Lago and play a golf, and Lindsey Graham talks to his ear. Oh, yeah, you're right, listen. I don't know. He repeats the last comment from the last person who talks to him.
So the United States fought a war against Russia and China the last century, first in Korea. The United States lost the war. And then in Vietnam, the United States lost the war. Right now, the United States plus NATO is having a war against Russia and China in some degree, in Ukraine, and is losing the war against. God help us that we don't have a war against Russia, Iran, and China in the Middle East, because Pakistan can just lend a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb to Iran, and that's going to be catastrophic. But about MAGA, the MAGA movement, we are not zombies that, oh, we need to follow our leader no matter what our leader does. We're very critical about what Trump is doing right now. And you're a MAGA guy, Ron, and you are criticizing Trump. And that, I believe, is real democracy. So we are not zombies. Wherever Biden says, we're gonna follow. If Biden paint his hair of green, I'm gonna paint my hair green as well. No. We criticize Trump because he promised to end the war in Ukraine. And he's not delivering.
And the only way he's going to end the war is by cutting the aid to the comedian of Kiev.
I believe it's going to happen.
Ending the intelligence, stop the intelligence and the targeting, and this group that he created in Wiesbaden, in Germany, to support Ukraine, ended up disbanded. I know Wiesbaden. I was there for many years. I was stationed in Germany, and I used to go to Wiesbaden all the time. I was stationed in Germany, in Darmstadt, Germany. I did almost 5 years over there, active duty. And I know Wiesbaden very well. He created a group over there, disbanded group, called the intelligence, cut the supplies, cut all this money, and there will be peace. And this is what people don't understand. And this is the key thing, Jeffrey. This is what people, these neocons, these Lindsey Grahams, and all these senators and
puppets, they're puppets.
Cotton, they don't understand. This is the key point. This war to Russia is not an optional war like Afghanistan was to the Soviet Union, 1989, like Vietnam was to the United States back in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s. It's not. An optional war is a war where I go. And if things go good, I stay. And if things go bad, then I pack my bags and I go home. That's it. I continue. That's what the United States did in Vietnam. It was an optional war. Nothing happened. Things are going bad. I'm losing support. And I having thousands of casualties and I have protests at home. Okay, no problem. We pack our bag, we do our luggage, we go to homes with home. That's it. Life continues. That's what the Soviet Union also did in Afghanistan. It was very hard to fight the resistance over there. Okay, no issue. We pack our bag, we make our luggage, we go back home. Nothing happens. That is an optional war. This is not an optional war to Russia. This is a critical existential war to Russia. Russia has to win this war. It's a must-win war. And if Russia cannot win, nobody's going to win, because then we're going to have Armageddon. We're going to have mutual assured destruction. We're going to have end of the war. This is what the neocons cannot think about. They think this is an optional war, and it's not an optional war. The survival of Russia as a nation depends on winning this war. Putin's life depends on winning this war. If they cannot win this war for whatever reason, that will mean that Putin might end up dead, that Russia is going to end up destroyed divided like in 15 little states, in 15, 16 little republics. It's going to be the complete catastrophic defeat. Is going to be the end of Russia. Russia cannot allow that. And the only thing, every time that the West and the globalists and the neocons escalate, Russia is going to keep escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating. And Pat Buchanan, the great Pat Buchanan, say it in an amazing article. What if Putin push for the Samson option? Samson, like in the Bible. Samson, I'm about to die. I will die. I know I will die. But I'm not going to die alone. Before I die, I'm going to push the columns of the temple, and the temple is going to follow over all of us, and I'm going to die, yes, but I'm going to die with my enemies. You do not want to push Putin to the Samson option. You do not want to push Putin to the mutual assured destruction, because if you do mutual assured destruction, that's going to be the end of the war. We're talking about 1 billion people dead in months, maybe 5 billion people dead in little over a year because of the nuclear winter. That is the end of the world. That's what the neocons don't understand.
Maybe they want that because they are satanic. And to understand the military tradition of Russia, we need to read Fyodor Dostoevsky, The War and the Peace, and we can understand better what is the military, the army, the war culture in Russia. It's more than honor, but a theological idea, theological concept that they have to defend Russia. And Russia is the only, well, maybe China as well, is the only empire that survived after the destruction of the Spanish Empire. The Ottoman Empire is gone. The British Empire is gone. The Russian Empire is still here. Well, the Russian Federation has survived the Soviet Union. And right now, because this war is like a revival inside that country. So they are stronger than before. All the sanctions and the war has not made Russia weak. So right now, Putin is the global leader and have more sympathizers than Donald Trump right now. So we need to have that in consideration of what is going to happen in the next months. Because I think it was yesterday, a couple of days ago, Trump ordered one of the generals to move a couple of nuclear submarines to near Russia. Don't do that, Mr. Trump. Don't do that. The Russians, well, again, you need to read The War and Peace by Fyodor Dostoevsky to understand how the Russian thinks. They love They love Russia. They love Russia. They believe they are the third Rome. They love the vodka. They just love their culture. And we don't have that in the Western civilization right now. They are very Christians. They're very Christian right now. Very, very Christian.
Let's see, because Trump first gave a 50-day ultimatum to Putin, surrender, or new tariffs are coming, and we're going to impose new tariff into India and into China and to all the countries that are buying Europe. But now he changed it, and now it's 10 days ultimatum that I think is going to be over, the ultimatum, by the 8th of August, in a few days, in 6 days. Let's see what happens. But for sure, Putin is not going to surrender. Putin has lost a lot of men, a lot of treasury, a lot of material. And this is what happened. The conditions that Russia gave Ukraine in March of 2022 in Istanbul, Turkey, those conditions are gone.
Are gone.
Long gone. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Putin asked for very little. Give freedom to the Ukrainians of the south and the east that are Russian speaking, that belong to the Russian Orthodox Church, that have family in Russia, that see themselves as Russians, that see the Donbass as historical part of Russia. Give them freedom.
As well, Odessa. Odessa is Russian as well. They speak Russian also. There.
But give that freedom to the Donbass. Keep Ukraine as a neutral country. Don't make it part of NATO. And that's it. Those were the conditions. Very simple, easy conditions on March of 2022 in Istanbul, Turkey. But those are gone.
So those conditions are not new, Ron. Those conditions have at least 60 or 70 years, are 60 or 40 years old.
Those conditions were once in a lifetime. Zelensky said no. Boris Johnson flew to Kiev and told him, no. Biden called him, do not accept, do not do peace. Now, Putin is not going to be content with those conditions of March 2022. He's going to ask for a lot more. He's going to ask for all the south. He's going to ask for Odessa. He's going to ask for a lot more territory. He's going to ask for a lot more, maybe everything east of the Dnieper. He's going to ask for a lot more. He's going to ask for a bridge to Moldavia. He's going to ask for many more. Yes. And that is what Trump doesn't understand, that Putin is not going to end this war until he achieves all his new goals and all his new objectives. Let's go and see what happens. And Jeffrey, just to finish.
Just one. I want to add something. No?
Yes.
Putin is under pressure in Russia as well, because the Russians, I have Russian friends that live in Russia, they told me, we don't want peace. Ukraine is gonna be destroyed, is what they think. Because all the everything that is happening. I mean, people are dying inside Russia, the terrorist attacks inside Russia, and they are angry about it. So no peace. We want Ukraine to be destroyed. Is what the Russians say.
Yes. So, very natural. Again, the conditions of March 2022 are gone. Now they have a lot more stronger conditions, a lot more conditions and stronger conditions today. And that's what Trump and Marco Rubio don't get. Now, to finish, this amazing woman, this amazing, intelligent, courageous woman, Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, Tulsi Gabbard, she confirmed ODNI. She's the director of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI. She confirmed with documents that Obama was behind the Russiagate hoax. That everything was the plan of Obama, was Obama's revenge. After Trump won the elections in November of 2016, Obama still had a month and a half to go until January of 2027, and he used that time to plan his revenge against Trump. He created
a coup d'etat.
It was a coup d'etat. It was an operation to put mud into Trump, to take Trump's victory away from him, to create the mechanisms to impeach Trump in the future. He created the Russia hoax. And this amazing woman, strong, courageous woman, intelligent woman, Tulsi Gabbard, just came with it. Just confirmed that. Now, I want all of you to go to my channel, Ron Aledo, Axia Contractor, and see my video of 2018 where I said that exactly. I said exactly the same thing back in 2018. In my video, you can see it, and I'm going to put it later on in the comments here of this video. In my original video of 2018, I said exactly the same thing. Obama is behind the Russiagate hoax. So Tulsi Gabbard, amazing woman, she's just confirming what I knew all the time along. In 2018, that was Obama who was behind this Russiagate hoax that opened the Pandora box to the impeachment, to the Mueller investigation, and to all this deep state war against Trump.
All fake.
Sorry?
All was fake. Everything was fake. Everything was fabricated.
It was just a nasty, low revenge of Obama.
In collusion with the news corporation,
with the news, with the media, with the intelligence agencies, with the deep state. And remember, that's what deep state means. Deep state is the people who works in the government, who is conspiring against the government, against the president, who's using their power in the government just to mess with the government. So that is the deep state. And he used the DOJ, he used the FBI, he used the intelligence community to conspire against Trump. Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much for the time. Thank you very much for being with us here. Hopefully we will see you again another Saturday here. And obviously, thank you to Ariel for giving us this opportunity to be here in his channel with this update from the United States.
Okay, guys, you made a big, important communication also today. Great job. It was a pleasure to have both in the channel. And as Ron said, next week we have a particular space in English in the channel. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
We want peace. The American people want peace in the world.
Exactly. For all around the world. Thank you. Bye, guys.